Welcome into Boxing Scene Today. We're a couple of weeks away from Christmas, but the presents for the people who are against the WBC, they're getting opened early. That's right. In several instances, the WBC under fire for various things we'll cover on this show. And I would quote some people. I don't want to throw too many F-bombs. Jimmy Smith in studio alongside the champ, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi joining us via Zoom. All the F-bombs right now coming from Terence Crawford talking about his WBC belt. He is relinquishing it because WBC says he isn't paying a $300,000 fee. Once again, can't read it because it's just not safe for any environment at all. But Terence Crawford going off, talking about it. Who the F do you think you are was the major message for the WBC. He said, I paid all the sanctioning bodies. It's only the WBC that's making an issue out of it. But for people like Nick Khan, Dana White, this is Christmas early.
Yeah, I mean, Terence can do this, right? Because he's that guy. He's elevated himself above even the titles. And he's able to take a stand and do this. A lot of times, a lot of fighters can't do that on the way up. I'm sure they want to. Those sanction fees are expensive, man. And I see his point of being like, why do I got to pay you guys? You guys should be paying me. I'm the face of this. Because I'm the guy putting my life on the line. Some of the things you can quote, Terence.
Yes.
That was what
now you got to go around everything else he said.
There's certain things you can quote that Bud said, and that's one of them. That he's putting his life on the line. He's the champion. And in terms of whatever the deal they had worked out, because when you're talking about $30 million, a normal sanctioning fee is a percentage. That's a lot of moolah, man.
That's a lot of money.
So it seems like there was some kind of other deal orchestrated with the other organizations, and they took a lesser fee. But the WBC, I guess, was not willing to do that. And Terence is letting him have it. I mean, they're stripping him. Mauricio Sulaiman went on and put a video and said that he should apologize and he should say thank you. And Terence just went scorched earth completely on that. He's like, I don't have to do any of that. Who do you think I am, kind of thing. So I get it. I mean, Crawford can do that. A lot of other guys can't. But like you said, the timing of all this, not ideal. Yep. Not ideal, because TKO is coming in, they're moving in, they're trying to get rid of all these organizations and taking a stand right here against one of the biggest stars in the sport, who seems to be aligning with TKO. Probably not the best move.
And also the belt he said that matters is the ring belt. Of course, Turki Al-Sheikh's belt, the guy whose money is changing the face of boxing. Paulie, the two sides to this.
A belt that's also free.
A belt that's also free. This idea that, number one, of course, WBC is going to try and get their money, but the other side of it is this is bad press they don't need right now, Paulie.
Yeah, it's something to think about here. You can play this in a couple of different ways, because from one perspective, you have an issue with the WBC maybe charging too much money for this situation, and it's a situation where Crawford was probably able to make deals with the other sanctioning bodies. And in the past, I have heard this happen where the deals are made with the sanctioning bodies. I remember being an amateur in Oscar de la Hoya, that was like the word around boxing, as I was an amateur, that he doesn't pay the sanctioning fees. He pays a flat fee to the organizations when he defends his titles. And remember, the main title Oscar used to have was the WBC title, because it's the one that, kind of gravitates to Mexican or Mexican-American fighters. So, the word was that he was making deals and not paying the full percentage price because he made so much money, and his refusal was okayed at the time. So interestingly enough, this is WBC that's making this issue with Crawford. So it does raise some eyebrows. Having said that, I think the sanctioning bodies are sort of a necessary evil, because, they are neutral to a degree, or at least they're supposed to play a neutral part. They're not. There's definitely politics involved, and they are more friendly with some of the promoters and their fighters more so than others. It's part of the game, I guess, not necessarily an agreeable part of the game, but it's still part of the game, as opposed to a promoter creating rankings like, say, TKO would. That I think starts to become more partisan and less neutral than even an organization that sometimes lets itself be swayed by politics. So I do think the organizations, the sanctioning bodies, have to be a sort of necessary evil, but deals have to come to the table when you're talking about this kind of money, because like Crawford said, he's the one risking his life. He's the one taking the punches. The Ring Magazine title is free. It's the one you don't have to pay for. but it also has no power. There's no fights ever enforced by the ring title. You can't the ring that was always my problem with the ring title when even in the days when HBO used to push it and stop mentioning sanctioning bodies by name and all there was a push in the boxing media. That's why if you notice that era of fighters in the Mayweather era, there wasn't a lot of undisputed champions. It was because the fad of the day, because that's what boxing is. It's just the latest fad. That's what they go by. Today it's just cool. Tomorrow something else is cool. Back then it was uncool to go for the sanctioning body, so you didn't see a lot of undisputed champions at that time. Now the sanctioning bodies have become cool again, so you see more fighters unifying and looking for to create undisputed titles. Um, at that time, I remember HBO, ESPN, even with Friday Night Fights, they wouldn't mention the sanctioning bodies by name. They would just go by the Ring Magazine title. And my problem was the Ring Magazine title had no power. It was cool to have, but you could never enforce a 1 and 2 first fight. There was no way to enforce it. And what's worse is they wouldn't strip. They'd never strip if the main guy at the top never fought the number one or number two guys. Or if he wanted to take a year off and not defend the title at all, they just wouldn't strip him. I think the ring title also is problematic, even if it's free. So like I said, I think there's got to be a middle ground where people have to know how to meet in the middle, and sometimes egos get in the way, and sometimes greed gets in the way.
Well, another controversial thing coming on the heels of this controversy, WBC Subro Matias failing a drug test for ostarine. Now the WBC president during their convention in Thailand saying that it was a false test, and I quote, "He is not guilty. He has not been found at any level of consuming performance-enhancing drugs," end quote. Sulaiman, of course, talking about Subro Matias. The fight will go on. What do you think of this, Chris? He's on probation, but the fight is still happening. This is days afterwards, so no real investigation taking place. What's your thought on it?
Yeah, generally when there is a adverse finding, they want to test the B sample, and if it is at certain levels, like which this was the levels were very, very low when it actually was administered. And this test, listen, this was November 14th. The fight's January 10th, so this is 2 months out from
early in camp.
Right, very early in camp. Probably the first testing window available for the organization that's testing this. So the amount that was in there that was found in the test was very, very low, just below the threshold of what New York considered illegal for performance enhancement. Problem is that this particular drug is not found in nature. So how did it get into his system? And that needs to be proven. The burden of proof then falls on the athlete. You're responsible for whatever is found in your body. Whatever goes into your body is up to you. You're responsible for that. So then they have to now figure out, if they're going to say it's contaminated supplement, okay, you have to now have a list of all the supplements that you're taking during camp. You need to find the one that is the culprit, get that tested, third party, have that result come out. Okay, there it is. That's where that chemical, that non-natural chemical came from. Then you take the batch number of that particular supplement, go to the company itself, get the same batch number, get that third party tested unopened, and show that it's in there as well. Otherwise, that company is going to say, well, we don't have any illegal drugs in our supplements. They have an opportunity to sue now as well. So it's a really, really complicated process.
That takes 3 days.
Yeah, but exactly. It's a great point.
Boom.
So I don't know how this gets turned around in 3 days. I will say this, that card was in serious trouble. That was the main event. It seems like it looks like an old Puerto Rican card. So having Subro Matias at the top defending his title against a UK fighter who's undefeated, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a fight that we all wanted to see. We all want that fight. It's a good fight. The 3-day turnaround makes things a little suspicious. Makes me look at, is this favoritism? Is this going by the letter of the law? Because in boxing, there technically is no letter of the law. Things get made up all the time.
Right, but this idea, Paulie, that VADA did the testing, but the WBC says he's not guilty. Well, they didn't do the testing. What's your thought?
Well, the first thing that strikes to me is the early in the testing window, like the champ Chris said, and early in the testing window means that it may not have cleared the system the way he intended it to clear. He may have obviously it may be very obvious that he was doing this, trying to, do it in a way where by the time the testing started, he would be free and clear, and then he would get the benefits during training camp. Again, low dose found in his system, very similar to Ryan Garcia, very similar to the situation where, again, you're just mistiming the clearing in your system. The not found in nature argument that the champ Chris makes is a very good argument, because now you have, even no matter what dose you find in your system, it's how is it getting there? You're obviously doing something, and you're looking to get benefits from something, from what that would seem. Um, I was, in the previous argument, a bit siding with WBC, trying to be in the middle here, with the Terence Crawford argument, because I think there is a place for sanctioning bodies. Here, there is no siding with them. This is absolutely a disgrace. Let's remember that Subriel Matias killed Maxim Dadashev in the ring a couple of years ago. Okay, left a 3-year-old girl as an orphan without her father, just has her mother, and left a wife as a single mother. Okay, this is obviously, we can say it's not done on purpose, but then when the same kind of guy is failing for performance enhancing drugs, I don't care what dosage it is, this drug is not found in nature. He's doing something, and this is absolutely appalling and disgraceful. The less and less of a backbone, and the organizations, and the running, the way the sport runs, is absolutely disgusting. Like, I feel like I got to take a shower just talking about this crap. It's actually grosses me out that there is this many pieces of shit in this business.
And putting it all together, Chris, I guess that's what we're talking about here. The theme of the show is WBC at war with Terence Crawford over the belt, and then this drug issue. The idea that the rules are the rules when we want to enforce them. We have been critical on this show. You guys have talked about Canelo not facing mandatories, yet not getting stripped. This idea that the continuity of the rules just aren't there.
Yes, I meant by the letter of the law. There is no laws. Boxing is the wild, wild west. It's lawless because things get made up on the fly based on your favorite fighter or the popularity of the fighter. It's a multi-tiered system in terms of how the law is executed. Certain fighters get treated one way, other fighters get treated another way. And a lot of it becomes a circumstance. So there really is no rhyme or reason for a lot of the decisions that are made. And it's really unfortunate, and it hurts the integrity of the sport. And the champ is talking about he needs a shower after listening to things like this. It makes you kind of like, all right, boxing, come on, man. The black eyes that we give ourselves makes you want to just wipe your hands of it and walk away, because there is no continuity, like they said. There is no letter of the law, and things are just kind of developed on the slide. This is the best sport in the world. It's a real shame that we can't get any kind of organization and unity to bring this to the masses in a big way.
I want to bring you into this conversation, Paulie, that we were having off camera before we went on air, and we said, look, fans just want the sausage. They don't want to know how it's made. They don't want to look behind the curtain. They don't want to see any of this stuff. The idea that and you point out all the time, Paulie, fan outrage isn't going to be there. You just said it. I want to see Subriel Matias fight too. The idea that it may take some shady things to get him there. The idea most fans aren't going to care about that. What's your take on that?
Nah, not with something like this. I don't want to see that. Not when this is actually, like I said, there's a death in the ring courtesy of this guy. It's already happened. So this particular failed test, not that there's not suspicions of guys that have never failed, because as you guys are well aware, I'm suspicious of plenty of guys that have never failed a test. But you can see this guy barely they barely caught him because he's got very small traces found in his system. So the testing window is in and it's out, and guys can time it accordingly. I believe they do, and I believe this sport is rife with performance enhancing drugs. And every once in a while, somebody mistimes it, and they always get caught with small doses, or it's an accident or something else. And so, yeah, the whole thing about this being decided in 3 days is suspicious. The whole thing about the actual type of drug that was found in his system is suspicious. And again, though he's not the only guy that I probably would be suspicious of that has caused permanent damage or death to somebody, I obviously am more outraged about this because somebody is in the cemetery after having shared a ring with this guy already. So this particular positive is a bit more bothersome to me.
Yeah, certainly more egregious. And, one of the things about PEDs in combat sports is it's always going to be a story, an unfortunate one. Boxing Scene Today, as it makes boxing news, we'll talk about it right here. Join us, find out why millions are watching.